Have you ever wondered if natural disasters are really divine punishments? Today, we'll debunk that myth and explore a surprising truth that could completely change your perspective. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe natural disasters aren't what they seem? I've discovered something that made me see everything in a completely different light. Join me in this revelation as we explore together how each storm in our lives might be hiding an unexpected blessing. We recently received an email expressing concerns about the notable increase in tornado incidents last month. The sender questioned whether such phenomena might be indicative of divine intervention or even signs that we are approaching the end times. To put this phenomenon in broader context, it's worth noting that the 2024 season of extreme weather has been the most severe in over a decade, with records of more than 1,000 tornadoes up to Memorial Day. So far, the total number of reported tornadoes has reached 1,800, surpassing any annual total since 2011. For comparison, the average number of tornadoes by May 27th is typically 731. The most impactful tornado that struck the United States this year was a powerful cyclone with winds up to 185 miles per hour, which extensively devastated the Greenfield, Iowa area on May 21, 2024. Although the 2024 season is marked by its severity, it has not yet surpassed the record of the 2011 season, which counted 1,287 tornadoes by the beginning of May. However, with the peak season still underway, there is potential for this year to set new records. Between May 20th and 27, the National Weather Service offices issued more than 3,000 alerts, indicating the seriousness and extent of the current conditions. Watches and alerts are everywhere, signaling adverse weather conditions that you can now see on your screen. Note how most of this severe weather occurred in the central and eastern half of the nation, just east of the so-called Tornado Alley, which extends from Texas to Iowa. Currently, the yellow polygons you see represent severe storm warnings, while the green ones indicate flash flood alerts, and the purple along the coast, marine alerts. The red warnings denote tornadoes, and more than 1,000 tornadoes have already been reported in 2024, nearly 500 of them in May alone. According to the Storm Prediction Center, this number places the year second in terms of tornado incidents during the month of May since 1950, second only to 2011, which had more than 1,200 tornadoes. Now, a question many ask: why does God allow tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, typhoons, cyclones, avalanches, wildfires, volcanic eruptions, and other natural disasters to occur? The devastation caused by these events is profoundly painful. Dealing with the aftermath of a natural disaster is extremely difficult, as lives are disrupted and communities devastated. It is, without a doubt, painful to witness so much destruction. It's curious to note that we often blame God for catastrophic events, often referred to as acts of God, while little or no acknowledgement is given to the long periods of stable weather we enjoy for decades or even centuries. This pattern of attribution is also reflected in our personal lives. When we face adversity, it is common for people to question, "Why is this happening to me?" or "Why does God allow this to happen?" neglecting the countless blessings and moments of peace that fill our days. This tendency to focus on adversity rather than times of tranquility can obscure our perception. To understand the nature of disasters from a biblical perspective, we must first consider the concept of a fallen world, as described in Romans 8:19-21. These verses speak of the burning expectation of creation, which awaits the revelation of the children of God. Creation was subjected to futility, not of its own will, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in the hope that it too would be freed from the slavery of corruption to the glorious freedom of the children of God. These verses show us a deep connection between the fall of humanity and the current state of the world, bringing a message of hope for the future. To understand why natural disasters occur, it is fundamental to understand the condition of the world after the fall of Adam and Eve. The entrance of sin into the world has not only brought moral and spiritual decay, but has also ushered in an era of physical decay. What was once a perfect creation was now contaminated, affecting everything from humans to the ground beneath its feet. This is why we witness natural disasters today. They are manifestations of a world suffering under the weight of sin. The Apostle Paul described creation as being in a state of vanity or futility, indicating that the natural world is not fulfilling its original purpose. Instead of presenting a harmonious environment, it now displays chaos and destruction. Disasters such as earthquakes, hurricanes, and floods are therefore physical expressions of this futility. They represent Earth's response to the curse imposed by human sin. The impact of the fall extends beyond natural disasters, affecting also the animal kingdom and disturbing the once harmonious human life. Before the fall, there was complete harmony between humans and animals. There was no death, violence, or fear. Imagine a world where a person could walk alongside a lion without any fear. This ideal peace is prophesied in Isaiah chapter 11 verses 6 to 9, where it is described that the wolf and the lamb will dwell together, and a leopard will lie down next to a child who will lead them. These verses reflect the state of peaceful coexistence that existed before sin. Currently, predatory behavior and mutual fear between animals and humans are direct consequences of this fallen condition. Paul expands this view by personifying creation, describing it as eagerly waiting for the revelation of the children of God. This metaphorical language illustrates that the natural world is not passive in its current state. It yearns for redemption, just as humans long for the fullness of their salvation. Restoration is intrinsically linked to the redemption of humanity. When man and creation fell, they were subjected to a state of futility by divine decree, but not without hope. God's plan always included redemption, not only of humanity, but of all creation. The bondage of corruption, as Paul mentions, will be broken, and creation itself will be freed, witnessing a new era of freedom and restoration. The hope that Paul highlights is the complete restoration of all things, which will occur when the children of God are revealed. At that moment, when believers are fully redeemed and glorified, the entire creation will also be restored. This future event is awaited with great anticipation by creation, according to the promise of the new heaven and the new earth in Revelation 21, where there will be no more mourning, crying, pain, or death. The natural world, then freed from the curse of sin, will no longer be subject to natural disasters. These phenomena, though devastating, are part of our fallen world's state due to sin. They serve as painful reminders of the physical decay that sin brought to creation. Each tear, each grief, and each pain are vestiges of the brokenness introduced by sin. Each sorrow in relationships reflects the fractured nature of human connections since the fall. Every physical pain and illness in our bodies is a sign of the decay that sin brought into the world. Cemeteries remain as somber witnesses to the mortality that sin introduced. Each element of sorrow we experience serves as a constant reminder of the urgent need for restoration and redemption. Every death serves as a vivid reminder that the wages of sin is death, which separates us from the life that God planned for us. Every tsunami, with its overwhelming destruction, resonates as the lament of a creation subjected to futility. Every earthquake, shaking the very foundations of the earth, signals the disruption of harmony that once permeated creation. Every natural disaster we witness is a manifestation of the fallen state of the world, which groans in birth pains until the day of redemption. Often we treat sin lightly, but the consequences of sin are so severe that they required the intervention of God Himself. No prophet, angel, or mere man could address this issue. Only the direct action of God could address the severity of sin. This alone should reveal to us the profound seriousness of sin. The Bible declares that Jesus Christ holds all of nature together. Colossians 1:16-17 states that by him all things were created, both in the heavens and on earth, visible and invisible. He is before all things, and by him all things hold together. This truth underscores not just Christ's sovereignty, but also the hope we have in his redemption, a hope that extends beyond humanity to the restoration of all creation. The profound truth about the sovereignty of Christ is that he rules over all creation. Everything in the universe is maintained and sustained by his power and authority. This fundamental belief helps us understand God's relationship with natural disasters and his dominion over the natural world. Considering that Christ holds all creation together, a pertinent question arises. Could God prevent natural disasters? The answer is undoubtedly yes. God, in his omnipotence, has the ability to control and prevent any natural event. The Bible is filled with examples demonstrating divine intervention in the natural world, reaffirming his ability to shape weather and natural phenomena according to his will. One of the most notable demonstrations of God's power over the weather is recounted in the book of Joshua, where God miraculously stopped the sun during a battle to favor the Israelites. This extraordinary event is documented in Joshua 10:12-14. On that day, Joshua, in the presence of the Lord and before the eyes of Israel, cried out for the sun to stand still over Gibeon and the moon in the valley of Ajalon. And so it was. The sun stopped and the moon held its place until the people had avenged themselves on their enemies. This episode illustrates not only God's power over nature, but also his commitment to intervening in human history to fulfill his purposes. It is recorded in the book of Jasher that during the battle, as Joshua led the Israelites against the Amorite kings, he cried out for divine intervention. In response, God halted the movement of the sun and the moon. Thus the sun stood still in the middle of the sky and did not hurry to set for almost an entire day. There was never a day like it before or since, a day when the Lord listened to a human voice, for the Lord fought for Israel. This miraculous prolongation of the day demonstrated God's supreme authority over nature and his willingness to directly intervene in human affairs to ensure divine purposes. By stopping the sun, God provided the Israelites with the additional light they needed to secure their victory, highlighting his power and faithfulness. In another dramatic episode, as reported in Numbers 16:30-34, God caused the earth to open up and swallow Korah and his followers as a direct judgment for their rebellion against Moses. This incident is a clear example of God using a natural disaster to execute his judgment. Similarly, the book of Revelation describes a series of catastrophic events that can be interpreted as natural disasters, each with a specific divine purpose for humanity and creation. All these events occur under divine orchestration, intended to fulfill God's purposes. Chapters 6, 8, and 16 of the book of Revelation describe phenomena such as earthquakes, plagues, and cosmic disturbances, each playing a specific role in the unfolding of God's final judgment. However, it is crucial to recognize that not every natural disaster serves as divine punishment. While the scriptures provide examples where God employs natural phenomena as a form of judgment, they also clarify that we live in a world affected by sin. The entry of sin into the world through the disobedience of Adam and Eve brought about a fundamental disturbance in the natural order. As Romans 8:22 explains, we know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. This groaning is indicative of the corruption and decay that sin imposed on the world, resulting in a creation that no longer reflects its originally planned state. Natural disasters, with their immense power and often devastating consequences, profoundly impact human life, forcing millions to reassess their priorities and confront essential questions about existence, purpose, and the future. The fragility of life and the inevitability of death are emphasized when we face catastrophic events. Such disasters shake our confidence in the stability and predictability of life, compelling us to consider questions about eternity and the deeper meaning of our existence. When natural disasters occur, they shatter the illusion of control we often maintain, revealing how vulnerable we are. The speed and unpredictability of these events highlight human fragility and the limitations of human power. In moments, homes, possessions, and even lives can be devastated, leaving survivors facing a new reality that often leads them to profound reflection on what truly matters. Personally, I understand how fragile I am. In my youth, during my 20s and 30s, I felt invulnerable. Youth often carries with it a sense of immortality, the belief that we are untouchable and that life's challenges are merely temporary obstacles easily overcome. However, as the years passed, I became increasingly aware of how delicate life really is. Experiences and the passage of time have taught me that health, relationships, and well-being are precious and not as guaranteed as I once thought. Circumstances can change in the blink of an eye. The confidence I had in my own strength has been replaced by a growing awareness of my vulnerability. This understanding has strengthened my faith in God and made me realize how fragile we human beings truly are. This shift in perspective from the mundane to the eternal is a natural response to the existential inquiries raised by disasters. The uncertainty of life, contrasted with the inevitability of death, underscores the importance of preparing for what transcends this world. With over 1,000 tornadoes already reported this year, we are confronted with the chaos of the planet and the destructive force of nature. These events invite us to reflect on the fragility of life and the fragility of our world. In this context, just like the Earth, we should long for the time when everything will be restored. We yearn for the day when natural disasters will become a thing of the past. No more devastating earthquakes, no tsunamis that devastate coastlines. Imagine a future where tornadoes, hurricanes, and floods no longer bring destruction, a world where the destructive forces of nature are permanently quelled. We must focus our eyes on the promise of a new heaven and a new earth. As it is written, I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them, and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. This vision of the future fills us with hope and a deep longing for the day when God's creation will be fully restored. In this renewed world, pain and suffering will no longer exist. We will experience perfect peace and joy in the presence of our Creator. As we face the trials of this life, we must hold firmly to this promise, living in anticipation of the glorious future that God has prepared for us. Through faith in Christ, we can face today's uncertainties with the assurance of a pain-free life tomorrow, a tomorrow without disasters. Let us, therefore, maintain our faith and hope, joyfully awaiting the fulfillment of divine promises. I hope this message has touched your heart and brought hope. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new posts. Share this video with friends and family so that more people can be inspired and find comfort in the promises of a glorious future. Your participation is very important to us. Comment below how this video impacted you or any thoughts you would like to share. Thank you for watching and see you next time.